Hello everyone, welcome to the video on Sputnik V vaccine. India has approved the use of Sputnik V vaccine on 12th April 2021 and it is approved by Drug Controller General of India. In this video I am going to explain what is this Sputnik vaccine is, how does it work, what are the advantages with this vaccine. This is my YouTube video channel. You just type in my name G. Sai Rajesh in YouTube, you will get the channel. I have more than 2000 subscribers and more than 126 videos related to pharma science content. If you like the video, do subscribe. Let's get into the topic. Now, Sputnik V, the vaccine is developed by Gamaleya Research Institute from Russia. Now, there is a reason for this particular name. Russians first sent a satellite to the space and they have named it as Sputnik. So the Russian President Vladimir Putin wanted to be first one to develop the vaccine from his country. So he named this vaccine again Sputnik V. V stands for vaccine. Now this vaccine is also known as COVID Vac. GAM is because it is developed by Gamaleya Research Institute and it is a COVID vaccine. Now the best thing is the efficacy rate is 91.6%. Now this vaccine is already approved in 60 countries. Now in India, this vaccine is in partnership with Dr Reddy laboratories for clinical trials and distribution. In collaboration with Reddy labs, the phase 3 clinical trials were carried out for this Sputnik vaccine. Now the approval is known as emergency use authorization. Normally the complete clinical trials of a vaccine, in order to get a vaccine into the market, it takes 10 to 12 years of research. They are known as clinical trials. There are phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3 trials are there. But during emergency periods like such, right now we are in an emergency period called COVID disease. In this period, they are approved to use and that process is known as emergency use authorization. According to this condition, a vaccine can be approved within 1 or 2 years. This is what happened with this vaccine. It is approved within 1.5 years. Moving to the next one. Now, so India has got 3 vaccines. One, Bharat Biotech made Covaxin and it has got efficacy of 80.6%. The second one, Oxford AstraZeneca Institute developed vaccine which is partnered with Serum Institute of India from Pune. It is known as Covishield. It has got efficacy of 82.4%. Now the recently approved one, Gamaleya Institute Sputnik vaccine, which has got 91.6% efficacy and it is partnered with Dr Reddy labs. So now we have the 3 vaccines approved to use in India. Now let us see how does this vaccine work, how this Sputnik V works. Before getting into that, let us understand how this SARS-CoV-2, which is nothing but COVID-19 or corona, replicates in human cells. Now, when you see a coronavirus, it typically appears like this. It has, on the outer surface, it has got the spikes known as spike protein. And this spike protein combines with human cells and gets into a human cell. Once it gets into the human cell, it releases its genetic material. Remember, coronavirus has got only RNA. The released RNA will be synthesizing viral proteins. All these proteins will assemble and again form a new coronavirus and it comes out of the cell and infects another cell. This is how corona replicates in human cells. Now, see, this is a typical structure of coronavirus. The outside it has got spikes, they are known as spike proteins. Now it has got an RNA, every segment will be giving a particular protein. This particular segment is responsible for forming this spike protein gene. Now the reason why we are talking about spike protein is the vaccine is made against this spike protein. How? In Sputnik, they will be taking 2 viruses known as adenovirus. They are known as vectors. Why do they call it as vectors? Because they carry genetic material responsible for forming this spike protein. So the job of these adenoviruses, they will carry a DNA and the DNA, when it gets into the cell, is converted to RNA and RNA will be giving spike protein. The RNA will produce spike proteins. So the Sputnik vaccine will be using 2 different kinds of adenoviruses known as AD26 and AD5. Their job is to carry this DNA which will finally give spike proteins. because they are carrying this genetic material, they are known as vectors. Let us see what happens with this. See, when this adenovirus is given in the form of vaccine, it enters into human cell. Once it enters into human cell, the DNA is released into nucleus, which is converted to mRNA. Now the job of this mRNA is it will translate that mRNA and it produce spike protein. As I told you, the DNA contains genetic information to produce this spike protein. Now once the spike proteins are made, they are all foreign proteins. Foreign means they are not of our human body proteins. Cell recognizes these foreign proteins and fragments these proteins, and they are expressed on the surface of the cell. This is how immunity works. Even if a bacteria or any organism comes, they are fragmented and they are expressed on the surface. This is what is called displaying spike protein fragments. Now what happens when this vaccinated cell displays the spike protein on its surface? It activates immunity, especially T cell and B cells immunity. The B cells, with the help of helper T cells, will get activated, and a specific antibodies are produced which are very specific to this spike proteins. So once they are formed, they are released into the blood. They are secreted antibodies. So these antibodies are very selective to go and bind with this spike proteins. Once they bind with the protein, they will destroy the cells. Look at this. Once a human being is infected with this virus, on the surface it has got spike proteins. So already human beings has got these antibodies because of vaccines. They will bind with this spike protein and kill this cell. This is how the vaccine works. Moving further. Now, what are the advantages of this Sputnik V vaccine? See, the research says there are no strong allergies caused by Sputnik V. So once you take the vaccine, there are no severe instances of allergies. In case of Pfizer and Moderna developed vaccines, there are some cases of severe allergies, and that thing you don't have it here. Now the price of vaccine is less than $10 per shot, which is a little bit economic one. Now the next one, it uses two different vectors for two shots, providing longer immunity using the same delivery mechanism. It has got a particular advantage. Let me explain it. See, the first dose is given with a adenovirus AD26 of 0.5 ml. After 21 days, another dose is given by using AD5, adenovirus 5 viral vector. Now, why they are using two different viruses is, see, when first this virus is given, we have seen how the vaccine works. One more thing, this particular virus, the vector may also develop immunity. So, second time if you give the same virus, the body may produce immunity against this virus and it may kill the virus itself before this DNA is translated to a protein. Understand this thing. See, you are giving a viral vector which is carrying this particular DNA. We have seen how the vaccine develops this DNA to RNA and then proteins, and to that proteins antibodies are developed. But remember, human body may develop antibodies against this viral vector also. If that happens, the same virus could not be given second time because it will not work. It will get destroyed by human immunity. To avoid this, the Sputnik vaccine uses a different kind of virus because body did not develop any antibodies against it. So it releases its DNA, again produces proteins, again antibodies are produced. This is one of the advantages with Sputnik V vaccine. Moving to the next one. See, the efficacy is confirmed at 91.6. This is recently confirmed. This is by peer-reviewed data published in the Lancet journal. Now, in severe cases, it protects, the protection rate is 100%. Again, understand that efficacy is known as relative risk reduction. Relative risk reduction when it is compared with placebo. The Indian vaccines like Covaxin and Covishield, when you compare with them, Sputnik has got higher efficacy. Now it has to be stored at 2 to 8 degrees, which is very easier in Indian conditions to store. You just refrigerate it, and one dose is less than $10, which is economic. Now, finally, see, even after the use of vaccine, the best preventive measures for coronavirus is washing hands with a soap, do not shaking hands, and use of disinfectant, especially the use of mask. keep social distancing. So this is about Sputnik V vaccine. If you like the video content, do subscribe. Thank you.